friends, how you doing? I want to explain a activity that I do with teachers in my purposeful play with Lego workshops when I'm talking about hands-on learning. And I've done this activity so many times, and it's probably one of the most powerful ones in the sense that it is one that can be easily implemented, like literally the next day in a classroom. And so this is a great assessment piece. And so what we do is I'm just going to explain what I do in the workshop in case you want to use it, and then we're going to talk the classroom application. And so what I have people do in the workshop, and you would do the same thing in the classroom, is people walk in, or depending on the schedule, and they're going to take five random Lego pieces and they're going to put them together. I'm not explaining the purpose, they're just going to put them together, and I give them 30 seconds to do this. And at the end of 30 seconds, they need to have five Lego pieces, the studs connected. In some shape or form, and once that's done, they can't change it once they hear what it is we're going to do. We then dive into the conversation around symbols and talking about how we as humans put a lot of meaning into objects and visuals and things that we see in the world. Like we put a lot of emotion and thought and insight into objects, and so we will break down this here. This is a great thing to do with students as well. So we look at three simple Lego pieces, just as you see here on the screen, and we have a conversation around what is it that you see in this picture. And we start talking about the ideas of taking concrete concepts that we understand in our brain and our head, and we apply it to the abstract of three simple Lego pieces here. And you might see an airplane or a scorpion, a lonely kid on a teeter totter, a turtle without a shell. I mean, the list can go on and on and on in terms of what you can see in these three pieces. So then the activity that we do, and this is the thing that I want you to try to use in your classroom, is called Explain This. Not a very creative title, but it is what it is. And we're focusing on the idea of using creative thinking and metaphors to explain the wonderful intellect that we all contain within ourselves. We're able to give any meaning to the bricks that we need to explain our thought process. And what I like about this is, especially when working with kids and kids that maybe have not had an opportunity to play or use Legos as for prior knowledge, is there's no build technical skills that you need. There's nothing complicated to this because all you've done is simply just put five Lego pieces together. For the sake of the activity in a workshop, I put them in groups of four, roughly, no more than four, so that way everybody has to speak. And so if you have larger tables, you want to divide them into smaller groups, and we have them identify whoever is first. And I tell them, I'm going to put a prompt up, and person number one, you're going to hold up your five-piece build, and for the entire 30 seconds, you're going to explain how your build is the answer to the prompt. I make it very clear they cannot sit there and go, I don't know, and sit there for 30 seconds in silence. You must continue to talk all 30 seconds, because what they will find out is it's usually that 15 to 30-second window when they have to keep scrambling for ideas that true, crazy, amazing insight and ideas start to flow. So people will start to squirm and get a little nervous. And we don't stop in between these builds. So as soon as person number one is done, I go, all right, person number two, let's go. And we make this quick and easy, so there's not a whole lot of thought and nervousness to it. We just dive into it. And so we go through just some generic prompts. So this is the most recent one I did for a social studies training. An object represents spring. My object, we could do love, favorite superhero, space travel, favorite teacher, collaboration. It doesn't matter. You can do any of those that you want, or put in and fill in what you're old. The goal here is not content specific at this point. Is to get them to have some fun and get excited and create prompts that aren't super nerve wracking, and you will feel and see and hear the energy and excitement and laughter and fun just rise when they go through this. So then we dive into this. What did we experience that can benefit your learning? And so this is what's really important here. So what does this mean for you as a classroom teacher? And as we talk about all the things that they experience and they share out their emotions and it was fun and oh my gosh, this Susie over here had the most crazy insight. You have to hear. I mean, they just the energy just flows. We talk about so how do we use this in the classroom? And so we take this simple phrase right here, and I tell them we could do it as a an icebreaker or like a an activity when the kids first walk in. You tell them, as soon as the bell rings or your transition time, you've got 1 minute to get settled, get your pieces, and put them together. And then, as opposed to saying collaboration, this is where your content comes in. My object represents a run-on sentence. My object represents the parts of a cell. My object represents revolution. My object represents a quadratic equation. Whatever it is that you're teaching, you put that in there. And if you did it at the beginning of the class, then in their groups, they would go through and in 30 seconds, they would all, if you wanted, one way to do this is they would all share their own answer to the same prompt. And what happens is kids get to hear, say you have them in groups of four different versions of their answer, of their thinking. And they also get three additional visual models of that concept. And so if I have built and explained one that makes sense to me, but Johnny over here has one that, man, it just really connects. I'm storing that information in my head. Like now I have a visual cue, I have an emotional cue because I'm connected to somebody that thinks like me. And man, you just have this quick, robust learning opportunity of collaboration, of insights to how people think and learn, and as well as like building up your own capacity. And this can be done literally in 5 minutes. You could do the same thing at the end of the class period where they could share. Or secondly, if you wanted to do it as an assessment, which is the theme of what we're after, you could have kids use a tool like Flipgrid, and you prompt them. You give them 30 seconds max. You can schedule how long they speak, and in the Flipgrid, they would show the model itself, and then they would explain in 30 seconds how the model is that prompt. Now, in a class of 30, at 30 seconds, a clip here, we're talking 10 minutes of video. And as I'm listening, if they can't explain their model to the prompt in 30 seconds, they don't really know it. Therefore, in 10 minutes, I can go through a whole class assessment. And I don't know of too many other assessments that you can grade as fast unless you're using, Microsoft Forms or Google Forms that way to have a computer automatically grade it for you, or we can go old school with Scantrons, right? So this allows you to get in and get out and really hear the learning of kids. And so it's just a very quick measure, but giving some student autonomy, some student voice, and more importantly, allowing kids and ourselves to hear the amazing perspectives of how we process information. So my challenge to you is to do something like this. Lay out a basket of Lego. Have the kids put 5 pieces together. Take your current content and use it and see what happens, and document it, and please share, because I would love to curate a collection of resources for teachers to see that yes, other teachers are doing this, and yes, it does work, because we all know teacher recommendation and teacher voice is the most powerful when we're going to try to make some of this change. I want to make it very clear. I'm not saying that this is better than any other assessment that you have. What I'm suggesting is how do we add another assessment tool to our kit so that we're not doing the same thing all the time. We have to start to do things a little bit different here. We have to start to stand out a little bit differently, especially as the year winds on and motivation and engagement is continuing to be a struggle. And so I hope you find this helpful. I would love your thoughts. I would love your feedback. And if you do use this, please, please, please share, reach out to me, because I would love to learn about this activity as well as ways you remix it to make it better so that we can turn around and empower educators. All right, my friends, stay awesome.